Team, have you ever felt small, like no one notices you? Well, in a quiet little town, tucked away in an old clock tower, lived a tiny brass bell. He wasn't big and booming like the great bells in the city cathedral. His name was Pip, and his only job was to chime once every hour, a small, bright sound that often got lost in the hustle and bustle of the town below. Pip would watch from his high perch as people hurried by. He saw the baker frosting cakes, the children playing tag in the square, and the librarian stacking books. They all seemed so important, with big jobs to do. My ring is so small, Pip would sigh to himself. Does anyone even hear it? Does it even matter? The other, larger bells in the tower would sometimes tease him. Pip started to feel sad. Maybe they were right. He began to ring softer and softer, his chime barely a tinkle. He felt his shine start to fade, his brass heart growing dull with doubt. What was the point of ringing if no one listened? One afternoon, a huge storm rolled into the town. Dark clouds covered the sun, and the wind howled fiercely. The town clock's hands, which were very old and a bit rickety, were blown around by the gale-force winds, and the clock's inner workings jammed. The big bells fell silent. The entire town, which relied on the clock tower to tell time, was thrown into confusion. In the middle of the storm, a little girl named Lily was walking home from her music lesson. She was clutching her violin case, lost and a little scared in the raging weather. She couldn't see well through the rain and didn't know what time it was. She was worried she'd be late and her parents would be frantic. Everything was loud, the wind, the rain, the rattling shop signs. It was all a big scary noise. Back in the tower, Pip was trembling from the wind, but he remembered his duty. Even if no one else could, he had to try. He gathered all his strength, every ounce of courage he had, and he rang. Ting! It wasn't a boom, it wasn't a grand clang. It was a single, clear, high-pitched note. Through the chaos of the storm, that one clear note cut through the air like a tiny star in a dark sky. Lily stopped. She heard it. It was the little hourly bell. She knew that sound. It was the sound that told her when her lessons were over. It was the sound that signaled it was time for her favorite cartoon. It was a sound that meant home. Following the direction of the familiar chime, Lily found her way through the confusing, rain-swept streets. She navigated past a fallen branch and around a big puddle, her heart feeling a little braver with each step. Soon, she saw the warm, glowing light of her own front porch. She was safe. The next day, the storm had passed. The town clock was still broken, and the big bells were silent. But every hour, a clear, bright ting echoed through the quiet town. People started to notice. "Oh, it must be 2 o'clock," the baker would say, pulling a tray of fresh bread from the oven. "Time for our story." The librarian would announce to the children. The whole town started to rely on Pip's little chime. Lily told everyone how the small bell had guided her home. The story spread, and soon, the whole town appreciated the little bell they had never truly noticed before. When the clockmaker finally fixed the clock, he gave Pip an extra polish. The big bells never teased him again. They realized that even the smallest sound can make the biggest difference. Pip shone brighter than ever before. He rang his chime with pride, knowing that his small voice was important.